The war between humans and the Serenthian Empire had ended only a month ago. The cities still smelled of smoke. Burned ships floated like broken bones across the orbit of New Terra, yet the leaders called it peace. As part of the fragile treaty, every human soldier was promised 2 Serenthian maids. They were meant to be a gift, symbols of friendship between the 2 races. But everyone in the barracks knew the truth. They were not gifts. They were trophies. Sergeant Ryan Cross stood on the parade field, his uniform still stained from the last battle. He didn't want attendance. He didn't even want a celebration. The only thing he wanted was silence. The transport ship landed with a hiss of blue steam. 2 figures stepped down the ramp, both tall, both graceful, their pale skin glowing faintly under the alien sun. Their silver eyes reflected the human soldiers watching them with curiosity, hunger, and fear. The first was Lysara, calm, steady, her posture proud even in chains of duty. The second was Miri, younger, quieter, her every movement uncertain, like a shadow afraid to exist. When they reached Ryan, he saluted stiffly. "Sergeant Ryan Cross," said the officer beside him. "These 2 are your treaty assignments. You will report any misconduct or resistance." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Understood, sir." The officer handed him 2 small bracelets, thin metal rings with glowing edges. "Obedience bands," he explained coldly. "All Serenthians wear them. Keeps them compliant. Make sure yours do." Lysara's gaze shifted to the bands. Her expression didn't change, but Ryan saw a flicker of something. Pain. Maybe rage. That night the base buzzed with laughter and music. Soldiers showed off their alien attendants like new prizes. Some forced them to serve drinks, others to kneel or dance. Ryan sat apart, cleaning his armor. The 2 sisters stood silently by the door, untouched plates of food in front of them. Finally, he looked up. "You can sit," he said quietly. Miri hesitated, then obeyed. Lysara did not move. She stood tall, eyes locked on him. "You're not eating?" he asked. She shook her head slowly. "Serenthians do not eat with their masters." "I'm not your master," Ryan replied, tired. "Then why are we owned?" she said. Her voice was calm, but the words cut through him like a blade. Before he could answer, the barracks commander entered the room. "All aliens, front and center," he barked. "Inspection time." Ryan rose and followed as the commander walked through the hall, checking each pair of humans in attendance. When he reached Ryan's group, his eyes narrowed. "Where are their bands?" Ryan hesitated. "They'll wear them soon, sir." The commander snorted. "You just what?" "The treaty requires obedience. These things are dangerous, Cross. Don't go soft." He turned to Lysara. "Put it on." Lysara didn't move. The room fell silent. "Did you hear me?" the commander shouted. Her voice was clear and calm. "I will not wear chains again." Gasps spread through the soldiers nearby. Miri clutched her sister's arm, terrified. The commander's face turned red. "You will obey, alien." He reached for his weapon, but Ryan stepped between them. "Sir, please." "She's tired from travel. I'll handle it." The commander glared at him. "Handle it tonight, Cross, or I'll handle it myself." He stormed out, leaving the room tense and quiet. Lysara's silver eyes met Ryan's. "You should have let him strike me," she said softly. "It would have been easier." Ryan shook his head. "No one should be punished for being free." Her expression softened just slightly. "You are different from the others." "I'm just tired of seeing people treated like things," he said. Miri spoke for the first time. Her voice was gentle, almost broken. "Then maybe there is still hope for humans." Later that night, while most of the base slept, Ryan sat by the small light in his quarters. The obedience bands lay untouched on the table, their glow pulsing like small hearts. He thought about the commander's warning. If he didn't make them wear the bands by morning, he could be court-martialed, or worse. He glanced at the sisters sleeping on the floor, wrapped in thin blankets. Miri's face looked peaceful for the first time, but Lysara's eyes were open, watching him in the dim light. "Why are you still awake?" he whispered. "Because freedom never sleeps," she answered. Ryan leaned back in his chair. He didn't know why, but those words stirred something deep inside him, a feeling he hadn't known since before the war. Respect. When dawn broke, the base horn sounded. Soldiers lined up for inspection. Ryan stood among them, heart pounding as the commander approached again. Cross, the commander barked. Bands on? Ryan hesitated. The bracelets felt heavy in his pocket, heavier than any weapon. Yes, sir, he lied quietly. The commander moved on without checking. Lysera's lips curved in a faint, knowing smile. For the first time since the treaty began, Ryan realized this wasn't just peace. It was the start of something much bigger and much more dangerous. Morning came cold and silent. The war camp looked peaceful from outside, but inside every man carried a secret: fear, guilt, or pride. Ryan Cross carried all three. He stood near the window of his quarters, watching the two alien sisters move quietly. Miri was cleaning his gear with careful hands. Lysera sat still, staring out at the distant horizon where the twin suns rose like fire over steel. She didn't speak, but Ryan could feel her anger burning under that calm face. The obedience band still lay hidden in his locker. If anyone found out, he'd lose his rank or worse. Yet every time he thought of forcing them on, something inside him refused. Later that day, soldiers laughed and joked in the mess hall. They bragged about how tame their alien maids had become. One even said, "Mine flinches when I lift a finger." That's how you know they're learning respect. Ryan said nothing. He kept eating, his eyes cold. But Captain Dreen noticed his silence. "You've been quiet, Sergeant." "How are your Serenthians behaving?" Ryan forced a smile. "They follow orders, sir." "Good, keep them that way. Some of these aliens think they still have rights." Dreen laughed, tapping his sidearm. "But they'll learn who won this war." Ryan's stomach turned. He left the hall early, the sound of laughter chasing him like ghosts. That night, while inspecting his equipment, he found Lysera beside him again. She watched him for a long moment, then said softly, "Do all humans hate what they don't understand?" Ryan looked up, surprised. "No, not all." She tilted her head. "But enough of them do." Her calm tone made it worse. He wanted to argue, but he couldn't. He'd seen what humans did to prisoners during the war. He'd done things he couldn't forget. "Why did you refuse the band?" he asked suddenly. She met his eyes. "Because wearing it means forgetting who I am." Miri looked up from the corner where she was folding blankets. "Sister says once we wear it, we stop thinking. We become silent inside." Ryan frowned. "That's not what the officer said. They said it's for protection, so the implants don't clash with human tech." Lysera's lips curved in a bitter smile. "That's what they told you. But those bands erase will, not protect it. It's not peace they want, human. It's control." Her words stayed with him long after they went to sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, hearing the hum of power generators outside. The treaty that was supposed to bring peace now felt like another kind of war, one fought in silence and obedience. The next day, Ryan was assigned to supply escort duty. He left the sisters in his quarters, locking the door for their safety. When he returned, the door was open. Panic hit him hard. Inside, nothing was stolen, but the walls were scratched with strange glowing marks. Lysera was kneeling by Miri, whose breathing was shallow. "What happened?" Ryan rushed forward. "She fainted," Lysera said. "She has been sick since they put the tracer in her neck." Ryan touched the small mark behind Miri's ear. The skin around it was red, pulsing. He realized it wasn't a tracer. It was something else. He brought his scanner from his kit and ran it over the wound. The device beeped and displayed words he couldn't believe. Biosynthetic fusion detected. "She's part machine," he whispered. Lysera's eyes flashed with fear. "You must not tell anyone, please. They will take her apart to see what she is." Ryan stared at the screen. Everything about the treaty suddenly made sense, the gifts, the silence, the fear. It wasn't peace. It was testing. Experimentation disguised as diplomacy. He powered off the scanner and looked at her. "I won't tell anyone." Lysera nodded slowly. "Then you've already chosen a side, human." Her words were calm, but they felt like a blade cutting deep. For the first time, Ryan realized he was no longer just a soldier. He was now part of something forbidden. That night, while the base lights dimmed, Ryan sat awake, guarding the sisters as they slept. Outside, the stars looked cold and endless, like the eyes of every man who ever obeyed a wrong order. He whispered to himself, "If this is peace, I'd rather fight again." But even as he said it, he knew the next battle wouldn't be fought with guns, it would be fought with choices, and his first choice had already been made. The rain came that night, thin metallic drops that hissed when they touched the steel walls of the human base. Ryan sat awake again, listening to the sound. He couldn't rest, not after what he'd discovered about Miri. She wasn't just an alien. She was something new, something built. A secret the treaty was never meant to reveal. Across the room, Lysara sat by her sister's side. Miri's breathing was shallow, her skin pale with faint blue light tracing under her veins. It looked like lightning under glass. Ryan checked his wrist monitor. Her temperature was dropping fast. "She's getting worse." "I told you," Lysara said quietly. "She was made for war, not peace." The humans called it mercy when they stopped the fighting, but it was only mercy for themselves. Her words hit hard. "You mean she's a weapon?" "Not anymore," Lysara whispered. "She's my sister." Ryan hesitated. He'd seen machines with human eyes before. Drones built to mimic emotion, androids that begged before they exploded. But Miri was different. When she looked at him, he saw fear. Real fear. He reached into his kit, pulling out a med patch. This might help her body regulate the temperature. Lysara watched as he placed it on Miri's arm. The patch glowed soft green. "Why are you helping us?" she asked suddenly. "You could report us and be rewarded." Ryan didn't answer right away. He thought of the commander, of the laughter in the mess hall of soldiers joking about obedience and property. "Because I'm done obeying lies," he said finally. For a long moment, Lysara didn't speak. Then she looked away. "There was a time my people believed peace with humans was possible." "We were wrong." Ryan leaned forward. "Then why did you sign the treaty?" Her eyes flickered. "We didn't. Our leaders were already gone when your generals came. The ones who agreed to the treaty were not Serenthian. They were your own scientists wearing our faces." He froze. "You're saying the treaty was faked?" "Yes," she whispered. "And my sister. She's the proof." The words crashed through him like a shockwave. The gifts every soldier received weren't about peace. They were about data, testing, control. Every alien made was an experiment in disguise. Suddenly, the lights in the corridor flashed red. A siren wailed through the base. Ryan jumped up. "What now?" "Security sweep," Lysara said, standing quickly. "They scan quarters for contraband, bans, weapons, or secrets." Miri stirred weakly. "They're looking for me," she murmured. Ryan's heart pounded. "We need to hide you both, now." He pulled up a maintenance hatch under the sleeping platform. "There's space in the vent shafts, go." Lysara hesitated. "And you?" "I'll stall them." The alarm grew louder. Boots echoed down the hall. Lysara took Miri's hand and crawled into the vent, eyes locked on Ryan's for a moment before the panel closed. The door burst open seconds later. Two armed soldiers stepped in, followed by Captain Drain. "Inspection!" Drain barked. "Step aside, Cross." Ryan raised his hands, forcing calm into his voice. "Sir, what's going on?" "Command suspects a breach in containment. Some of the aliens are resisting control again." Drain scanned the room with a small detector. It beeped faintly near the sleeping platform. Ryan's heart froze. Drain frowned. "What's under there?" "Just power cables," Ryan said quickly. "The old ones keep shorting." The captain kicked the panel. Sparks flew, smoke rising. You're lucky it didn't blow the place." He turned, smirking. "You should replace your junk, Sergeant." Ryan nodded, forcing a smile. "Yes, sir." Drain lingered for a second, then lowered his voice. "Keep your aliens in line, Cross. I've heard whispers. Don't let their pretty faces fool you. They're dangerous." When the soldiers left, Ryan exhaled for the first time in minutes. He opened the vent slowly. Lysara and Miri crawled out, covered in dust but alive. Miri looked at him weakly. "Why risk yourself for us?" Ryan shook his head. "Because this isn't what I fought for. We were told we were the heroes of peace. But now..." He looked toward the door. "Now I think we're the villains." Lysara stepped closer, her voice low. "Then help us end this lie, human. Help us free the others." Ryan met her gaze. The soldier in him screamed no, but the man in him had already chosen yes. He reached for his datapad, deleting every report, every record of his obedient maids. "If they find out what Miri really is," he said, "they'll destroy her. We'll need to run." Lysara nodded once, the faint light from the console shining in her silver eyes. "Then we run together." Outside, the storm thickened. Lightning split the sky, turning the base into a cage of metal and light. Inside that cage, a human soldier and two alien sisters made their first promise, not of obedience but of rebellion. The storm passed, but tension hung heavier than the rain ever had. Days turned into a quiet, nervous blur. Ryan moved through his duties with a soldier's calm face, but inside, everything was falling apart. The secret he carried, 2 aliens hiding in his quarters, one of them not entirely alive, felt like a ticking bomb. Captain Drain's voice now echoed more often through the corridors. He asked too many questions, checked too many quarters. The man had always been cruel, but now he was curious, and curiosity in a man like Drain was dangerous. That morning, as Ryan polished his armor in the training yard, Drain approached him. "Cross," he said casually. "You've been keeping to yourself lately." Ryan stood at attention. "Just doing my job, sir." "That so?" Drain smiled thinly. "Then maybe you can explain something. I ran a scan of your section last night. Energy readings showed 2 unauthorized heat signatures during curfew." Ryan's hand froze mid-polish. "Probably a system glitch, sir. The sensors have been acting up since the storm." Drain chuckled. "Sure, a glitch. But it's funny, isn't it? These Serenthians are clever. Some of them are even learning how to hide from scanners." His tone darkened. "That won't end well for them, or anyone helping them." Ryan kept his eyes forward, but his heart hammered. Drain leaned closer, voice low. "You wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Sergeant?" "No, sir." Drain studied him for a long moment, then smiled again. "Good, because I'd hate to lose one of my best soldiers to a bad choice." He clapped Ryan's shoulder and walked away. Ryan stood still long after he was gone. The moment Drain turned the corner, he rushed back to his quarters. Inside, Lysara was waiting, her expression calm but her hands tense. "He knows," she said before he could speak. Ryan nodded. "He's guessing, but he's close." Mary looked up from the floor where she was drawing small circles of blue light with her finger. "They'll come for us soon, won't they?" "Yes," Ryan said. "Unless we find a way to get you out first," Lysara frowned. "There's nowhere safe in this base. You know that." "There's one place," Ryan said after a pause. "The supply depot near the landing bay. It connects to the old service tunnels. No one uses them anymore." Lysara's silver eyes narrowed. "And you would risk your career for us?" He met her gaze. "Careers end. People shouldn't." For the first time, Lysara smiled. Barely, but real. That night, Ryan began preparing. He forged a clearance pass and transferred rations into a small crate. Every sound in the corridor made his pulse race. When he returned to his quarters, he found Lysara standing by his desk, holding a hollow photo of Ryan's old unit. "You were smiling," she said softly. "Before the war," Ryan replied. "Before I knew what peace would cost." She set the photo down. "You are not like them." Before he could answer, the alarm blared again, sharp and sudden. "Security lockdown. All personnel to inspection posts." Ryan's blood ran cold. Drain's voice followed through the intercom. "All alien attendants will be accounted for immediately. Any soldier found with unauthorized individuals will face termination." Mary's eyes widened. "He's coming." Ryan grabbed his blaster. "Into the tunnels now." They moved fast, slipping through the narrow maintenance hatch behind his bunk. The tunnels were dark and hot, filled with the hum of hidden machines. The air smelled of rust and dust. Footsteps echoed above them, heavy, searching. Drain's voice carried faintly. "Find them. Check Cross's quarters first." Ryan pressed forward, leading the sisters through the twisting corridors. "This way," he whispered, but Lysara stopped. "No, wait. Ahead the tunnel split. One path led toward the hangar, the other deeper into the old reactor wing." Lysara turned to him. "If we go to the hangar, they'll see us. You need to go back. Make them believe we're still inside the base." Ryan shook his head. "I'm not leaving you." "You must," she said firmly. "You are the only one who can delay them." For a moment, neither spoke. Then Mary whispered, "She's right. You'll buy us time." Ryan clenched his fists. Every soldier's instinct screamed against it, but he knew she was right. He looked at Lysara one last time. "I'll come back for you." "I swear it." Lysara's eyes softened. "Then we will wait." They disappeared into the shadows, leaving Ryan alone in the tunnel. When he climbed back to his quarters, Drain was already there, blaster drawn. The room was torn apart. "Where are they, Cross?" Drain's voice was low and sharp. Ryan met his eyes, standing straight. "You think I'd help them?" "You're losing your mind, Captain." Drain smirked. "Maybe, but I don't need proof to pull a trigger." The air between them crackled with silence. Then, far away in the tunnels below, an explosion shook the ground. Lysara's signal. Dreen spun toward the sound. Ryan didn't hesitate. He swung his rifle, striking the captain across the face, knocking him to the floor. As the alarms blared louder, Ryan whispered under his breath, "Now it's war again." And somewhere beneath the steel floors, two alien sisters ran toward freedom, while one human soldier chose rebellion over orders. The alarm never stopped. Red lights flashed across the steel corridors, painting everything in panic. Ryan ran through the smoke-filled hallway, gripping his blaster, trying to think through the chaos. Somewhere below, Lysara and Miri were still alive. He had to believe that. The base was under attack. Sirens screamed, soldiers shouted orders, and the ground shook as explosions echoed from the south wing. Through the haze, Ryan caught a glimpse of Serenthian ships breaking through the clouds, firing streaks of blue plasma toward the hangar. "Enemy assault!" someone yelled. "Serenthian rebels are breaching the perimeter." Rebels! Ryan's heart raced. They came for them. For the sisters. He turned toward the tunnels, dodging falling debris. The air was thick with dust and burning circuits. Soldiers were shooting blindly at shadows. Among them, Ryan saw the unmistakable flash of silver eyes. Serenthians moving with purpose, not as slaves but as warriors. He ducked behind a collapsed support beam and scanned for Lysara. A burst of energy hit nearby, lighting the area, and then he saw her, standing at the edge of the corridor, a scavenged rifle in her hands, fire reflecting off her eyes. "Lysara," he shouted. She turned, relief flashing across her face. "Ryan!" He sprinted toward her. A drone swooped down, firing bolts of energy. Ryan rolled, firing back. The machine exploded above them, showering sparks. Miri stumbled out from behind a crate, clutching a small device glowing blue. "We have to go. The rebels are breaching the main gate. They'll destroy everything to reach us." Lysara's jaw tightened. "No, we need to save the others first." Ryan looked around, confused. "Others?" "There are more," she said quickly. Hundreds of Serenthians, hidden in the lower cells. The truth hit him like a punch. The treaty hadn't given soldiers 2 attendants each. It had taken hundreds of prisoners and divided them like property. "Where?" he demanded. "The containment level," she said. "If we free them, they'll help us escape." He nodded without hesitation. "Lead the way." They moved fast through the smoke, using the side corridors. The deeper they went, the worse it got, bodies, alarms, and the metallic scent of war. Ryan shot open a sealed door and cold air rushed out from below. Rows of pods lined the chamber, each one holding a Serenthian woman, frozen in stasis. Their faces peaceful, unaware of the chaos outside. Miri rushed to a control panel, her fingers moving with machine precision. Sparks flew as she overrode the locks. "I can open them," she said, voice shaking. "But once I do, the power surge will trigger the security grid." Ryan raised his rifle. "Do it." The pods hissed open one by one. Pale light filled the room as the Serenthians began to wake, their eyes glowing faintly. Confusion turned to recognition as they saw Lysara. "She's alive," one whispered. "The princess lives." Ryan froze. "Princess?" Lysara turned toward him, eyes heavy with the truth she could no longer hide. "I told you my people didn't sign the treaty," she said quietly, "because I was the one they wanted to erase." Before he could respond, the ground shook violently. Another explosion. The doors slammed open. Captain Dreen stood there with a squad of soldiers. His face was bruised from their last fight, his rage burning. "Cross," he shouted. "You traitor!" Ryan stepped forward. "Don't do this, Captain. These aren't enemies, they're prisoners." Dreen raised his weapon. "No, they're spoils of war." Time slowed. Ryan saw Lysara tense, Miri ready her glowing device and Dreen's finger tightening on the trigger. Ryan fired first. The captain fell, his blaster clattering across the floor. Silence followed, heavy and final. Lysara stared at Ryan, her expression unreadable. "You chose your side," she said softly. "I did," he whispered. Outside, the sounds of battle grew louder. The freed Serenthians armed themselves with scavenged weapons. Miri pressed the detonator. The walls trembled as the lower level collapsed, sealing off the pursuing soldiers. They ran through the tunnels toward the hangar, smoke chasing them. The rebel ships hovered above, engines roaring. As they reached the open air, rain poured down again, washing the blood and ash from Ryan's armor. A rebel pilot waved them toward a landing ramp. Lysara looked back once at the burning base, the place that had held her captive. the place Ryan had finally destroyed. "Let's go," she said. Ryan followed her aboard. The ship lifted, leaving the flames below. As the stars filled the view ahead, Ryan looked at Lysara and asked quietly, "What now?" She met his gaze. "Now, Sergeant Cross, we make sure no one ever wears chains again." The ship vanished into the storm of stars, leaving behind a war reborn in truth, and a bond stronger than any treaty. The stars stretched endlessly before them, scattered like diamonds on black silk. The stolen Serenthian ship hummed softly as it slipped through the void, engines whispering in rhythm with the heartbeat of its fugitives. Ryan sat in the cockpit, still wearing his scorched uniform. His reflection in the glass looked like a stranger, tired eyes, blood on his collar, and the weight of two worlds pressing on his shoulders. Behind him, Miri slept, her head resting against a crate of stolen supplies. Lysara stood near the viewport, silent as the stars. "How far can this ship go?" Ryan asked. Lysara didn't turn. "Far enough to vanish. If we're lucky," he gave a half smile. "Luck hasn't been on my side lately." She looked back at him, her silver eyes soft. "Maybe you make your own luck, human." He chuckled quietly, then turned back to the navigation console. The map showed dozens of blinking red points, human patrol zones, all hunting for them. "They'll call me a traitor," he said. "They'll say I betrayed my species." Lysara stepped closer, her voice calm. "And did you?" Ryan paused. "Maybe I betrayed what they became." Silence filled the cabin for a long moment. Only the hum of the ship answered them. Miri stirred and sat up, blinking. "Where are we going?" she murmured. "To the edge of Serenthian space," Lysara replied. "There's an outpost hidden among the nebula fields. My people call it the Ember Reach." Miri frowned weakly. "It's real? I thought it was only a story." Lysara smiled faintly. "So did I, until now." Ryan watched the sisters exchange glances. For the first time, he realized they weren't just passengers, they were symbols. If what Lysara said was true, she wasn't just a survivor. She was the lost heir to a destroyed empire, and he was the human soldier who helped her escape. The ship suddenly jolted. Warning lights flared across the console. "We've got company," Ryan shouted. Through the viewport, two human interceptors appeared, sleek, predatory ships, their lights cold and blue. "They found us already?" Miri gasped. "They must have tracked the energy signature from the reactor," Ryan muttered, gripping the controls. "Hold on!" Laser fire streaked past them. The ship shook violently as one beam grazed the hull. Alarms wailed. "Shields are failing," Miri cried. Lysara placed her hand on the glowing console. The lights pulsed brighter under her touch. "Let me try." "What are you doing?" Ryan asked. "Serenthian ships are alive," she said. "They respond to our energy, our will." The ship seemed to hear her. Its hum deepened, engines roaring louder. The stars outside stretched into lines as they jumped into faster-than-light speed. The human interceptors vanished behind them. When the shaking stopped, Ryan exhaled shakily. "Remind me never to doubt you again," Lysara smiled. "You already learned that lesson." Miri leaned against her sister, her glow dim but steady. "How long until we reach the Ember Reach?" Lysara glanced at the display. 6 hours. "If the stars are kind." Ryan stood and walked toward the observation window. Outside, the universe burned in colors no human eye was meant to see. Blues melting into gold, streaks of violet nebula stretching forever. "Beautiful," he whispered. "It is," Lysara said softly, joining him. "But beauty often hides pain. My people once ruled these skies. Now we hide in their shadows." Ryan turned to her. "You don't have to hide anymore." "Not if we tell the truth." She looked up at him. "The truth can save us or destroy us. Then we take that risk together." Their eyes met in silence. It wasn't romance, it was recognition. Two soldiers from opposite worlds bound by the same scars. Hours later, the ship drifted toward a glowing nebula shaped like a flame, the Ember Reach. Hidden among the clouds, a massive Serenthian station emerged, its metal wings spread like a sleeping god. "This is it," Lysara whispered. "Home." As they docked, Serenthian rebels surrounded them. Weapons raised until they saw who stepped out first. "It's her," one of them whispered. "The lost heir." Lysara stood tall, chin high. "Tell the council we return not as slaves, but as survivors." Ryan stepped beside her, human uniform still stained with battle. The rebels looked at him warily. "He's with me," Lysara said firmly. "He fought for our freedom." The Serenthians lowered their weapons. Ryan looked around the shining halls of the hidden base. "So this is the Ember Reach," he murmured. Lysera nodded. "It's where the war truly ends. Or begins again." Ryan smiled faintly. "Then let's make sure it ends the right way." The stars beyond the station glowed like embers, quiet but ready to burn once more. The Ember Reach was not what Ryan expected. It wasn't a fortress, it was a wound that had learned to heal itself. Ancient Serenthian ships floated around the station like guardians of a lost age, their hulls scarred but still glowing with quiet pride. For the first time since the war, Ryan felt peace. Real peace. But it didn't last long. The council chamber of the Serenthian rebellion was carved from shimmering crystal, its walls humming faintly with energy. Dozens of alien faces turned toward Lysera as she entered, whispers rippling through the room. "The royal line survives," one elder murmured. "The humans failed to erase her." Lysera raised her chin. "The humans failed to erase truth," she said. Her voice carried strength now, no longer the quiet defiance of a captive, but the command of a leader. Ryan stood behind her, the only human in the chamber. He could feel the weight of their stares, some curious, others hateful. But Lysera didn't waver. "These humans," she said, nodding toward Ryan, "were told they were fighting for peace, but their peace was built on our chains. I will not let another lie rule the stars." The eldest counselor, a tall being with deep blue markings, leaned forward. "And what do you propose, Princess?" "A new treaty," Lysera said. "One written not by conquerors or politicians, but by those who bled for both sides." She turned to Ryan. "By humans and Serenthians alike." Ryan stepped forward, unsure what to say. "I'm no diplomat," he admitted, "but I know what wrong looks like. I fought for it, I enforced it, and now I'm here to end it." The council murmured among themselves. One younger warrior hissed, "How can we trust a soldier of the enemy?" Ryan met his glare. "You can't," he said simply, "but you can trust what I've lost." The chamber went silent. Lysera placed a hand on the table of light. "The galaxy is watching. The human command will not stop until they find us. If we stay divided, they will destroy us both." A deep rumble shook the station, an explosion from the outer docks. Mary burst into the room, her voice trembling. "They already found us." Through the crystal walls, the stars outside burned red as human ships descended, an entire squadron of interceptors. Panic spread through the council. Lysera stood firm. "Evacuate the civilians to the lower bays." "Ryan, with me." They ran through the corridors as alarms blared. Mary followed, clutching her datapad. "I can hack their signal systems," she shouted. "If I overload their comms, they won't be able to target us." "Do it," Ryan said. The station shook again. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Smoke filled the air as Serenthian defenders fought back, beams of blue light cutting through the darkness. Ryan and Lysera reached the main control deck. The view beyond the glass was chaos, ships burning, wreckage drifting, stars flickering behind fire. "This is it," Ryan said. "They'll destroy everything." Lysera's voice was steady. "Not if the galaxy sees the truth." She opened a small console and inserted a data crystal. "These are the treaty archives," she explained. "Every lie, every experiment, every name of every stolen Serenthian. If we transmit this, the truth will reach every world." Ryan hesitated. "The humans will hunt you forever." "They already did," she said softly. "Now let them see what they became." He nodded. "Let's do it." Together they activated the transmission. A beam of light shot into the stars, carrying the story of the enslaved and the brave, of two worlds betrayed by their own leaders. Human ships suddenly broke formation. Confusion spread through their ranks as the message hit every channel, exposing the truth live across the galaxy. From the comms, a human voice crackled in disbelief. "Is this real? Did we do this?" Lysera smiled faintly. "Now they'll have to decide what kind of species they want to be." The remaining ships withdrew one by one, until the skies cleared. The Ember Reach floated in silence once more. Ryan leaned against the console, exhausted. "You did it," he said. "No," Lysera replied. "We did it." Miri entered quietly, her small face lit by the glow of the stars. "The broadcast reached every colony," she said. "Even Earth." Ryan looked out into the endless dark. "Then maybe there's still hope for us after all." Lysera turned to him. "What will you do now, human?" He smiled tiredly. Help you write that new treaty. In the final moments, the view widened, the stars reflecting in Lysara's silver eyes, Ryan's human face beside her, and the vast galaxy caught between them, two former enemies standing as equals. A promise reborn, a new peace forged not by power but by truth. And as the camera of imagination pulled back across the cosmos, the voice of the narrator would echo, "The war began with obedience. The peace began with defiance.